so thank you for coming to our add-on office hours this week. As last week, my name is Matthew Tillinghast. I'm a customer success manager here at Juice, and we have Keith Justice joining us. He's the CEO of Juice Technologies, and we have Justin joining us as well. He's going to be running the chat today, as well as answering any questions you guys might have. Just to go over again how we are going to be running this. If you have any questions, which we highly recommend that you do, just please try to raise your hand and we will get to you as soon as possible. And we'll be doing a Q&A for about 5 to 7 minutes per each question. And we'll be recording this and putting this on YouTube after. Today's spotlit topic is Exact Forms plus batch processor with auto-generating a single document. So today we're going to go over the installation and the setup process, kind of walk you through from step A to Z on how to do that. And I'm going to kind of hand it over to Keith right now so he can go into further detail on how to do this. So I'm going to stop my share and give it to Keith.
Hey, again, thanks for joining us. One of the things that we thought would be cool is to start off the office hours with a helpful tip, and we chose Exact Forms Plus automating the generation of a document. So some of you know how to use Exact Forms Plus and how to click a button to generate a document, but we want to show you how you can use the Exact Forms batch processor, which is part of your subscription to Exact Forms Plus, to help you automate the document creation instead of clicking a button to do so. So let me just share my screen. Okay, so right now, let me just move this out of the way here. Let's see. Okay, so I have this application called Office Hours, and it's 2 simple tables, but I also already have Exact Forms Plus set up. And basically, when I want to generate a document, I got to come to my estimate record, and I got to click a button, and it's going to generate a document. I didn't make any fancy document. I just took our standard template that we install once Exact Forms Plus is installed in an app. So once this comes back, okay. So in the case where you don't want to have your users click a document to generate, click a button to generate a document, we have our batch processor. And there's 2 flavors of our batch processor. We're going to go over one of them today, and we're going to go over one of them next week. But the one we're going to go over today is automating that button click. Maybe when the status changes from pending to approved, you want to have the document automatically generated instead of having a user click the button. Or maybe when you add a record to the estimates table and you enter all your information and you don't want to have to save it and then come back here and click the button, you want to have it automatically generated. That can be done through our Exact Forms Plus batch processor. So I'm going to show you how to set that up in this app. So right now I'm in my Builder account. I'm just going to sign out and sign back in again quick. So I'm in the Juice Cloud, and I have access to my Builder account. I already have the batch processor set up for other applications, but I don't have it set up for this application. So I want to authorize a new application. And I already have my user token assigned to this new application, so I don't have to worry about doing that. But if you need to know how to do that, we have that on our help site as well. So I'm going to use my existing user token, and I'm going to click Next. But then again, I clicked on, I'm not sure if I went too fast, but I clicked on the Exact Forms Plus batch processor tile on the dashboard. So here I'm going to choose the application I want to set up. So it's my Office Hours application. And right now for this really isn't relevant for single document creation. It's more relevant for bulk document creation. So we'll just skip this, but this gives you a little explanation as to why we need that. But again, we're doing single document creation, so we won't need that. So I'm going to click Next. So now it's going to load the tables that I have available to me in this application that I want to set up. So I'm going to choose my estimates table, which I already have set up for Exact Forms Plus, but I want to set it up for the batch processor as well. And I'm going to choose my auto-generate a single document. Again, this one we're going to go over next week, but we want to keep it simple here, and we're just going to go over a single document. So since I already have Exact Forms Plus set up, I want to choose the same fields that are already being used. So I could create a new field if I wanted to store in the file, but I want to use the existing one. And I also want to use the existing date field. And I'm going to actually use the template that's already set up for that I already set up, which was template number 1. And you know what? I want to log my errors if I do run into any. And this is a new feature that we just released within the last couple of months. So once I have all of those selections made, I'm going to choose finish. So right now it's going to create a couple of fields, and it's going to create some new tables in our estimates table. But what I want to show you is here, this is what we usually let you know what we did to the app, and we give you some helpful hints. So I'm actually going to open up, this is a link to our help site, and I think Justin's going to post the same link in the chat. But basically it's going to show you what you need to do to fire off the batch processor. So that's there. Whoops, sorry about that. And the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to jump right to my estimates table. So I could do that from there. So you'll notice that there's one new table that was created called batch processing errors. But also what was created, if I go into the record that I was working on before, there was a batch processing errors table. And also there was another field that didn't get added to the form, but it was called batch processing arguments. This may look familiar to you because if you look at this, it's very similar to the code behind the button. So if I go into this button, these are all the parameters that we pass into the web version of Exact Forms Plus. And this is how we execute the web version. You click a button to execute that. If you want to execute the batch version, you need to be able to pass parameters into the batch. And these parameters in this field here get passed in, but the way they get passed in is through an email notification. So I'm going to show you how to set up the email notification in order to fire this batch creation. So let's go into my notifications. I'm going to create a new email notification. And if you notice, if you did jump over to the help site, exactly what I'm doing is detailed here. And I actually keep this on my other screen here so that I can copy and paste some of the information from it. So I'm going to create an email notification. And it has to be an open email notification because you're sending an email out to an email address that we monitor. A recipient email address has to be internal to the application. So that's why you have to choose open. And if for some reason your app is not open for sending out emails to external email addresses, you'll have to put in a support case to do that. So here I'm just going to call this EFP batch trigger. The email address that we send it to is actually in the help link. And it's right down in here. So I'm going to pull that over. I'm just going to do a copy and paste. What I also recommend you do, though, is, especially at the beginning, is to copy yourself as well, just so that you know that the email notification is getting fired. So in my case, I want to create the document automatically when the status field changes. And I want to set it to be when the status field changes to the value of, I think it's approved, but let me just check. Accepted. Okay, so when the status changes to accepted, I'm going to fire off Exact Forms Plus batch processor. So basically what I'm doing is I'm sending an email to our batch processor. And I want to customize the subject. And you could just put anything you want in here, but we usually put in EFP batch request. And sometimes what we recommend you do is maybe put your company name in there. Just helps us troubleshoot because when we see the emails coming in, we know who's sending them. The next thing you want to do is you want to choose that brand new field that was added, which was called the arguments field. So there it is. And that's all you really have to do to send off the single record version of this email notification. And one thing you want to do is, if you click preview in the upper right, you want to make sure that that type equals batch is in the arguments field. Older implementations of our arguments field didn't have that type equals EFP batch, but the newer one does, so it should be there. And if it's not there, we show you on the help site how to add it, but it's already there in the new installation, so it's good. And one other thing I'm going to do a little bit more advanced, I'm going to actually show you how to do multi-record version as well. So I'm going to copy my subject. And sometimes I like to put in here multi, so I know it's multi. And all you have to do, and again, this is detailed in the help site, is you have to put a repeat on and a repeat off, and do the same thing with your adding your arguments field. And then I choose my end. So what this is going to do is, if multiple records are edited, maybe in grid edit mode, it's going to create it's going to send multiple requests to our batch processor to generate more than one document, one for every document, every record that was modified. So right now, this is all good. I'm going to hit save. So that email will fire whenever the field status is changed to accepted. Okay, so let's go back to my record here, and I'm going to go to a different one. I'll go to one that's in pending status. I'm going to edit this record. Is add-ons plus? Oh, it already ran in this one. Let me find one that hasn't run it yet. Maybe this one. Okay, it hasn't run in this one yet. So I'm going to change this status from pending to accepted, and I'm going to hit save and close. Now, what really happens here is an email notification gets fired off to our batch processor. You know what? I'm going to add a couple of fields here. And what that does is it tells add-ons plus to run and basically simulate what that button click is doing. I'm just going to add some fields to my report so we can see. Okay, so this was, which was the record that we were working on?
Sam Smith.
Sam Smith, right. The reason why the times are off, because this application is Pacific time. So that's why it's 11:16. Well, anyway, so the document was automatically generated just by me changing the status from pending to accepted. So I didn't have to click this button to do it. I had to just change the status. Now I could have set that email notification to fire on add record or on modification of something else. So that's how our batch processor gets fired. Now, if I wanted to, in this case, I'm going to change, since this one wasn't generated and this one wasn't generated, I'm going to do the multi-document creation. And the way I'm going to do that is I'm going to edit these records. And I'm going to, even though this is rejected, it's just for a test, I'm going to change that to accepted, and I'm going to change this to accepted. So Bob the Builder and Jim Henson. These two documents, once I hit save here, and all you really have to do is kind of refresh. It takes up to 30 seconds or so before our batch processor fires. But so instead of me generating one document, this should generate two documents. There you go. So we just saw that Bob Builder and Jim Henson both had documents created. Here's the documents. So again, I didn't have to click the button for two records. All I did was I grid edited and changed the status. Now I could have had check boxes in there, and maybe I have a grid edit report of maybe 50 documents or 50 records, and I choose them all, and it'll basically go in and it'll send requests to our batch processor to generate those documents. And that is pretty much.
Yeah, Keith, and I think that was really great and very well explained. I think to visualize it for a lot of clients' thought processes, when you have your end users going through your forms, and many clients that I've seen have form fields that are, almost pages long that you scroll down. Your end users don't want to also have to remember to click a button at a certain phase of the process. So to be able to build this into the logic is a huge benefit for many of our clients. And as Keith showed, it just needs to be a drop-down field. Obviously, this is a very simple explanation to it, but I think there's a lot of use cases where clients could see the benefit of this.
Okay, so that's our quick tip of the day, or tip of the office hours hour. So right now we'll open it up to answer any questions, go through anything else that you might have. It doesn't have to be add-ons plus related. It could be any add-on that you might be interested in. So Amber, any questions?
Sorry, I just put popcorn in my mouth. No, that's great. With exact forms, one of the things that the team has been asking for is our client requires us to submit it's a packet of paper basically, but it has to be in a portfolio, and an Adobe portfolio, not just a regular Adobe file where it just, it's just the pages, but an actual portfolio. Is there a way through exact forms to do a portfolio?
I'm not really sure what the portfolio means. Is that an Adobe specific thing?
Not really. I know that like Bluebeam uses it and stuff like that, but basically it's a document, and when you open it, it has multiple documents just kind of like tabbed out. So I can click on the first tab and it's got this document. That document may be 10 pages long. It's just a different view of it.
Yeah, we can definitely put documents together. So we have a parameter called add files that can join documents together. So if they're all PDFs, you can have, one document and multiple documents attached to it. But I don't think when you open it up in Adobe, though, it looks like a single document. It's not going to look like it's broken up into multiple documents and that we joined the multiple documents. So I don't know how we could denote that. I wonder if there's something that we can put into that document that says, hey, when we're joining documents together, put some type of delimiter in there that says, all right, these are separate documents. I'm not sure
Right.
how we can certainly look into that. It's interesting because we do something similar to, like with our DocuSign integration, where we can pull in multiple documents into a single, let's say, DocuSign envelope, and they look like they're separate documents because we can break them out. But when we're using Exact Forms Plus and we're putting documents together, we don't kind of delineate from one document to the next. We just consider it one single document. But it's an interesting one. I'm going to make a note that we're going to look into that.
Yeah, because we use the Exact Forms Plus to generate some of the documents, and then some of the documents are attachments that we add into our QuickBase.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And then I had tried to use PDF merge to merge them into one file.
Right.
We tried that with the client and they said, no, it has to be a portfolio. We have to be able to see the documents because the first person that gets it may only need to look at this one document in it. And then they send it to the next person who views a different document in it.
It's interesting because what we'll do is I'll look into it for Exact Forms Plus, but we'll also look into it for PDF Merger. So, because PDF Merger is definitely one that is very popular for putting documents together like that. Even taking, let's say, images and converting it to a PDF and then putting it together. So I'm just wondering if we can build the portfolio that you're calling it with PDF Merger as well as Exact Forms Plus. But we'll look at that.
Okay.
I don't think we've ever been asked that one before, so that's good.
Leave it to the government to stump us.
Yeah, that's good. Well, that's how our tools evolve. Like it's based on your usage of them and what you want them to do that they don't do. So, you guys come up with this functionality, and we just got to figure out how to make it happen.
Another issue that we have is that we have a monthly report that we have to generate. And we've got the monthly report as a table in our application. So it kind of pulls all the different data that we've got to put in this PDF report in that table. The only problem is one of the sections of the report is photos. And when we run it, if I add the photos to the exact forms for the monthly report, it kicks it back and says it's too much, it's too big. Sometimes these reports can have, you know, if it's a really good month and we get a lot of work done, it could have, I don't know what, let's just say 100 photos. Some months may only be 20 photos. Do y'all have a idea there?
Well, when it tells you it's too big, is it when it's trying to save it to the file attachment field, or is it just giving you an error when it's loading?
When it's loading.
Okay. The images that you're pulling in, are they coming from a mobile device? Like how are the images, you know, gotten into QuickBase? Just wondering the size of the images themselves.
Yeah, they're typically from either a phone or an iPad.
Yeah, because sometimes the files and photos that come from those mobile devices, they're really not optimized that well. They come in and they're, let's say, they could be a mega piece or more. And then if you're trying to take 100 of them and include 100 of them into a document, and each one is like a meg, you know, right, 100 meg. And I'd be curious to see what the error is though that you're getting, because I can always run a test too. Like if you have one where you know you're getting the error, if you can send me a link to that, I can try to run it myself and see if there's something that we could figure out a way to optimize it.
Okay. And the other thing on that report, so I was trying to take into account that even though we have talked with our site managers and our mechanics about, you know, changing their settings on their phone to kind of make better pictures and better sized photos, if you will. Knowing that we've had that conversation, but they were still really big, I did try to do a formula field to make them more uniform when they came out. Oh, where's my monthly status report? I'm gonna give you an example of the error in the chat.
Okay. You can share your screen too if you wanted to show us something, as long as it's not something that's you know, not something you want public.
Yeah. Let's see. I can do that.
We do have issues though, if you in your formula fields include image width and height and so on, we do have problems with that because we resize it based on parameters that you put in the template itself. So if you are passing width and height as let's say tags in your rich text field, that would be a problem.
Okay, let's see. Let me share my screen. We'll share just that one. Let's go one earlier this month or this year. And I can't remember if I'll have to dig, actually. Here we go. Hang on. What's that called? Just trying to get the error for you, but I'm not seeing it. I guess I don't have an error field on it. Okay. I'll have to take a screenshot of one and add the photos back into it. Because like on this month, we had 42 photo records.
Right.
Let's see if I've got the height and weight or height and width. Yes. I've got the width.
Now, does that give you any trouble when you're generating a document? So when you generate that document, did those images come out okay?
As long as it doesn't make the document too big, yes. If I have if I were to try to add the photos, like this whole report on the document,
Right.
it wouldn't run because it says it's too big.
Yeah.
It says that the file is too large.
Those are in file attachment fields, right? Could you go to that first record and I'm just curious how big size, click on the little dial there. Yeah, that's
3.6.
yeah. So you think about that. So you have 42, let's just assume each one is 3 to 4 meg. So right there, you know, just displaying those images could be 70 meg or plus. And file attachment fields will only handle 75 meg, give or take a couple hundred K. So
Now, could that be something where we generate it to Dropbox or Amazon S3, Keith?
yeah, we could create it and save it in S3, then we won't have the file attachment storage related issue for size, but we'd have to see how long it would take us to generate a document that big as well. I mean, we do generate documents that are hundreds of megs, but it just takes a little while to do that as well.
Okay.
So in this monthly report, you're not including the images. That's because since you already created it, probably didn't have the images in it.
No, we don't have the images in it. When we create the monthly report, it generates the entire report. And then what I've told them to do is just select and print this report out of QuickBase to PDF and merge it in.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, that's the best I can do because I can't generate it because it's so large.
Right. I'd like to see if we'd be able to do that though, saving it to S3. So maybe we can run a test with you on that.
Okay.
It might be an option for you because S3 is very inexpensive from a storage standpoint. And we make it look like it's in QuickBase, even though it's not in QuickBase. So
what about, could we do the same thing with SharePoint?
Not yet.
Not yet.
No, we could do,
Okay.
we could do Dropbox and we could do S3. And we're in the process of working on a couple of the storage services like SharePoint.
Okay.
Google Drive, OneDrive, we're looking into those. So we're just not there yet.
Don't worry, Amber, that is a frequently asked question. So
right?
Yes.
we are getting there.
Oh, let's see. There was something else. What was the report? I'm wanting to say it was an Excel report that they were wanting. I think it was an Excel. Okay, so in Excel docs, I've got a template set up to use Excel docs. And I can generate everything that I need it to generate. But it only lets me group by one field. And I kind of need it to group by 2 fields. Is there a way to do that?
What is the second field you're trying to group by? Because we can do more of a custom solution within Excel itself. It's not necessarily with Excel docs. It's Excel features that we would be, basically customizing your form to be able to do that. I don't have an example up right now, but we have worked with another client recently where they had, to put it in terms of, they had a weekly timesheet. So they had it grouped by day, and then they also had it grouped by employee. So we can do group by in one, like you said, we do have one field you can group by, but as to do another field, we do have to put it into kind of formulas for Excel itself.
Let's see.
So that's
Let's
done
see
in
if
the
I've got-
actual template itself. So
Yes.
we modify their template to be able to do the grouping.
Let me see if I've got an example. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in so we can actually see the words. So basically this, what I would need it to group by is I can't remember. I'd have to open the actual one, but it's like for like this set of things that we're supposed to check, we want that on one line. So like a grouping, and then all of these things under it.
Yeah.
So I'm thinking like maybe even a concatenated field of these three, the section number, the A, and then that.
Yeah, it would be something similar to that. We do have Excel experts here who are able to kind of formulate more of a table for you that we'll be able to group by within Excel, like the Excel template, as Keith said, itself. Unfortunately,
Okay.
Excel docs can only do one group by at the moment, and it looks like you have it grouped by date.
Yeah. It's actually a section number, but yeah.
Yep, something like that.
Okay.
So if you're interested in learning more about that, I can send you a follow-up email after this of some similar template to yours, where it shows kind of an example of how that was done. We're currently also working on putting that into our demo app. So that is a commonly asked question as well.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, that's one of the big things that they have been asking for, and I've kind of told them just deal with it the way it is, but it does make the report so large. And they're like, but I have to scroll. And I'm like, I know, I get it.
Absolutely. No, that makes sense. And for your use case, it looks like it would make sense as well. And the client that I worked with recently that we did it for, it definitely made sense for them. It was almost like a timesheet, and they needed to be able to group by employee and by dates. So
yeah.
Good question.
Is there photo limitations in Excel docs?
You're still going to have similar file restrictions, meaning the size of the file in Excel is going to still have a problem being saved back to a file attachment field. So you can still include images, but you're going to have that same issue if you go over the 75 meg trying to save that file back to QuickBase.
Okay.
It's the images themselves, because a lot of times they're not optimized when you're uploading them from mobile devices. And I mean, we do have an image resizer rotator that does shrink those images a bit, but it doesn't do them in bulk, like, because you have them on every record. So that's one thing we'd have to do is modify our image resizer rotator to be able to do them in bulk, almost like the batch processor that I showed a little while ago, to be able to, when files are added to a table, to fire our resizer to basically shrink them and make them more efficient and quick. It's so that when they are used somewhere else in a document that we generate or so on, that they're a little bit more optimized.
Yeah. All righty.
Good stuff, though. Good use cases, because these use cases are the ones that challenge our add-ons. So it makes us think about how we can make them better.
Hey, I've got use cases out the Watusi. But those are the biggest ones I have for right now. we're looking at, which we have the quick base signatures. We're looking at some different scenarios of obtaining signatures while we're in the field, but making sure that the person signing it understands what they're signing it and not allowing changes to the records once that signature is made.
Yep, and we're actually, we have our DocuSign integration and we have our signatures integration. We're working on a, let's say, middle of the road between those two. So it kind of would give you what you're looking for in terms of presenting a document on the screen, and when they do use our signature add-on, they understand what they're signing. Because right now, when you show our signature, scratch pad, it really is not connected to a document. So
right,
and we're actively working on another add-on that they won't have all the bells and whistles and the digital certificate of, if you will, as that DocuSign has, but it'll have a little bit more than we'll have a lot more than our signatures add-on, our low-level signatures add-on that you're using, and it'll have some features that DocuSign offers, but it'll give you that, hey, this is the document, approve it and sign it right here so that you know what you're signing. So we are, again, that's another roadmap item for us.
Perfect. That would be great. Because these guys at the military installations, they want to know what they're putting their name to. And then just a QC QA on our side of, okay, once they sign this document, we don't need to be making changes to those records. Like, it needs to be locked.
Well, you can do that. You can do that because when we store the image itself, as we update a date and time field. So when that date time field is updated, you could make it like you could change your permissions and your roles.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So don't modify this record if there's a date in the signature date field. And we can also think about adding another parameter to our URL string that we pass in to have like another field that could be updated. Maybe it could be a lock field. So a lock field ID, and then it's a checkbox or something. And when the signature is done, we check that off, and then you can use that field in your rule, your form rules, or even your roles and permissions.
Exactly. Other than that, that's all the stuff I have, I think.
Good.
Well, that's great. Thank you.
Definitely appreciate your participation and giving us some things that we need to take away and think about how we can implement.
Absolutely. I appreciate the office hours time. This is amazing just to be able to have a few minutes with you guys and say, hey, what about, this or that? I think as a customer, it's great to have that interaction face to face with y'all. So I do appreciate it.
Well, thank you for that feedback. We appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. When it comes down to next week, as well as add-ons going forward and on office hours, on our homepage of our website, you can find the add-on office hours here, where you can find the previous recordings, as well as a register now link. You can register for any one of the weeks ahead. Again, we are doing this every Wednesday at 2 p.m. So we look forward to seeing you guys here, and I hope you come with questions. Thanks again.